Jeremy Nizer here from the Sports Marketing Machine podcast. This is episode number 40. Super excited for this one because I get to interview Jared Orton. He is the president of the Savannah Bananas. We dig into the topic of social media. We talk about the things that they did, things that they're doing, and he provides such a unique perspective of how teams should be thinking about using their social media to grow their fan base and sell more tickets. The other topic we talk about was the culture of constantly improving. They talk about staying relevant by constantly reinventing. What does that mean? How does that impact the operation? What does that mean as far as you're selling tickets today and tomorrow and some of the things that you're doing by constantly reinventing yourself and making yourself more relevant to your fans? So I love how they never stop evolving and improving the fan experience. And we also talk about the launch of the Firefighters Identity and more. So here you go, episode number 40 with the president of the Savannah Bananas, Mr. Jared Orton. Welcome to the Sports Marketing Machine podcast. I'm your host, Jeremy Nizer. Today, super special episode. We have president of the Savannah Bananas, Jared Orton, joining us today. Jared, appreciate you hopping on. We're going to talk all kinds of marketing and promotions today, so I'm super pumped to have you.
Yes, it'd be fun. It'd be a lot of fun. I'm excited to do it.
Yep. So if you don't know who Jared Orton is, I'm just going to steal Dion's line. He's not hard to find. So you can go ahead, Google, hop on LinkedIn, find a little bit more about him, but we're just going to dive right in. So you've been with the Bananas since the inception. You've been working with Jesse back in Gastonia days. When you all started to build this brand, and this is before in his yellow suit, this was all about communicating fun and what makes it special. What were some big lessons that you took as you started to take one step at a time to build what the Bananas are today?
Yeah, I remember, as we got started, and it's kind of how it's been, since day one, even, to this point, we were always the underdogs, right? We were, small stadiums, kind of old, forgotten stadiums, small leagues. We don't come from, like outside investment or, we didn't sell something and just parked our money in a sports team to be fun. We're not part of a big league where we have revenue share and things like that. And so we were always just the scrappy underdogs. We were never going to compete for a World Series, right? And so I remember, the conversation was always, where are we going to compete? And our mindset was, we're just going to compete on fun. We're just going to compete on having fun with people and figure out if we can be the best at making baseball fun, at creating this remarkable fan experience. And that's where you kind of have seen, obviously that's increased over time as we continue to challenge ourselves and try to do new things each and every day. But it's always been, how do we make baseball fun and fun for fans and fun for the people coming? And whether you're a baseball fan or not, we hope you can come to the game and have fun. And so that was always, really that original concept. And that's what we've stuck to today.
So always focusing on trying to make it fun. At the end of the day, it's not about making money. It's kind of your perspective on, hey, we want to have fun and the money will come later, right?
That's the way that we've tried to run our business, in a sense of the fun is kind of the product, and we feel like our customers, our fans, the people who want to come to these games, will reward us financially if we do the right thing long-term for them. If we're only focused on how much money can we make today or tomorrow or in a year or whatever, we'll probably be successful in that, but it might not be for the long-term interest of the fans. And so we've always tried to take this long-term view. Now, we've gotten sideways sometimes. We make short-term mistakes, but we've tried to take this long-term view of what's it going to take to build more fans in the future. Because if we do that, we know that we will run our business financially in a financially sound way, and be able to generate the funds that we need to pay for people and keep things up and, stick money aside for the future, and then ultimately reinvest it in our fans having more fun. That's really kind of how it goes.
Absolutely. So social media has been a really big key for your growth. A lot of the things that folks learn about the Savannah Bananas, even before it was on television, it was social media. And I remember listening to an episode, you were on The Art of Paid Traffic.
Yeah.
Rick Mulready was talking with you, and you were sharing some of the tips that he taught you. And we were all listening together about how to continue to use Facebook Meta ads at the time to be able to grow you sell more tickets, grow your fan base, and what have you. And then a lot has changed since that podcast episode to today. There you were trying to sell tickets. Today you're trying to stop ticket scalpers. So let's
Yeah.
talk about kind of the evolution and some tips about using social media.
Yeah, the evolution was, when we first got here, it was old school, right? You called people, you had to, get on the radio and run ads, and we put stuff in the newspaper, and we were trying to build, an email list, and that's just what you have to do. You got to figure out where those people are at. You got to go out and hunt them, and you got to pitch people, and you got to make connections. You got to go to all the events and shake hands, and that was how we had to do it, and we were marginally successful. We weren't as successful early, because people just didn't know what it was. And so we really were focused on how do we sell out 4 or 5 games. We finally got to that point where we could sell out a couple games. And then, we realized that to use social media properly, we need to show people what it's like if they're not at the game. And so we would post a bunch of clips of like tonight's game sold out. You can't come to the game tonight, which really was the first kind of foray into telling people there's demand here. You better get going on this thing or you're going to miss out. And so we've always tried to use social media as that point of like, look how much fun we're having. Again, using baseball, make baseball fun. Look how much fun we're having. And you are missing out. Here's your next chance to be able to buy tickets from us. As we got into 17 and 18, and we were starting to see some of those dominoes fall, more games selling out, we started using the social media advertising to communicate that to people specifically. Hey, join our list before the season gets going, and now you will have the first opportunity to buy our tickets from us. And so we were trying to really replicate that demand. People, now it has to be authentic. You can't tell people the games are sold out and then they come and like 12 people are in the building. And so we'd use pictures of big games being sold out and people, dancing and people having fun and like all the things that our brand was supposed to be. We were trying to share that through social media. Then we were targeting people, and we were simply asking them to join our list. In those first couple of years, people started joining the list, and we put those tickets on sale, and we'd sell, 15, 20, 25,000 tickets in a couple days to people who were just fired up to be a part of the game. As we go into 2020, 2021, we reduced that because we don't have to really spend or advertise to people. We're building that internal ecosystem of names and emails and people who are interested and people who have come and people who maybe have come but haven't come in the past couple of years. We're starting to move all that stuff together. And we're just continuing to drive home. The game will sell out. The game will sell out. The game will sell out. But if you follow our process, you will be able to join. And so 2021, we did another kind of pre-sale type of list. 2022, we did another. 2023, we did, I guess in 2021, we did a little bit more paid advertising. 2022, we did a little bit just in some cities that we needed to do. 2023, we did no real paid advertising. And then 2024, we've had to shift it to a lottery list where it's like, we cannot guarantee that you will even sniff buying tickets. But we do one big announcement. We're going on sale, or here's where we're going. The schedule's coming out. Join the lottery list. But social media really for us is communicating to fans. Here's how much fun we're having. Here's what you're potentially missing out on. And here's how you need to get into our ecosystem to potentially come to these games.
It's such a great lesson for sports teams because oftentimes they'll post graphics in images specific or even some videos about, hey, buy tickets now, right. But they're not necessarily telling the story of what fans can expect at the game, which creates the urgency. So it's such a perspective shift for sports teams. So I'm glad you all kind of gravitated towards that because it just gives folks a roadmap now, right?
Yeah, and I've always educated our So Kara Heater, who's our marketing director, we talk about it. We've talked about it in the early days a lot. People don't go on social media to be advertised to. They don't go on there to get hit with a bunch of offers and ads. Now, if there's something compelling, yeah, you might see a really cool hat or T-shirt, or an event pops up that you're not aware of, and oh my gosh, I didn't realize this event was coming to my town, or I didn't realize that they were going to have this thing happening. But if that's all you do, or not even all, like if that's like 50% of what you do, like it's going to burn people out. And then these social media platforms are going to say, wow, the content that you're posting, people aren't engaging with it. They're not commenting. They're not sharing. Basically, they don't like it. Thus, we're not going to show it to more people, because the goal of a social media platform is not for them to leave the social media platform. They don't want people to click your link and go to your website, because that's less time they're spending on their website. I know that sounds like really cutthroat and nasty, but like the goal of YouTube is for people to watch more YouTube videos. The goal of Instagram is for you to stay on Instagram. That's why they make you pay to run an ad to send people off of their website. If you understand that, and understand that you are a content creator and a content producer, like it's actually a blessing that you're on their platform. It's like you've been invited over to their house, and you stop seeing it as like, oh, well, social media is not working for me. That's not what it's built for. It's built to work for them.
Yep.
And to make the people who are on it have fun. So if you wrap your head around that as a sports marketer, it will dramatically change your outlook on what you're putting out.
Yep. Oftentimes teams, it's only thinking about themselves rather than the fans' perspective. So, totally. Just out of sheer curiosity here, was there a few videos when you posted that went above and beyond what you thought was going to happen? And maybe there's a couple favorites that you could think back. I love the dancing umpire. That's always fun. And some of the other ones. But were there a few that you posted, you were like, this one's going to be great, and it didn't take off? Maybe some other ones it did?
The craziest one that comes to the top of my head is if you go to our YouTube channel, and there's a video we posted probably 3 or 4 years ago. I don't know if you know the game Don't Break the Ice, where it's just a little square and the little
hammer.
You try to you knock it. And anyways, we had our players play that game in the locker room. So probably 3 or 4 years ago, we had a focus on doing pregame videos where it was like, all right, let's film something ridiculous in the locker room pregame that people wouldn't expect, and then put it out and see how they do. Some hit, some were funny. This Don't Break the Ice video is probably every month still is like one of our top 2 or 3 videos, because like globally around the world, like Indonesia and like Malaysia and like there's like a couple other countries where it just continues to be incredibly popular, and it's like the dumbest video on earth. And for whatever reason, I guess people just in these other countries just continue to share it. That's no blueprint for what anyone should do. But you just never know. Like if you're going to just make things fun, and you never know who's going to interact with it. I don't think we would ever create another Don't Break the Ice video. But you do have to figure out like what are people responding to, what are they not responding to. It's why you see more of our strategy. Like when we post something about stilts, people freak out. When we post something about a dancing umpire, like you talked about, like people freak out, and so that tells us like we can't just do only videos about that. But like let's continue to figure out what else would they want to see. If it's the dancing umpire, like you mentioned, it's like, okay, let's do a top 5, or let's do a best of, or let's do a dancing umpire, never been seen before. Like, let's continue to repackage all this stuff and make it look different for people.
Yeah, I love it. And you bring up a great topic here, which is a nice segue to the next question: staying relevant by consistently
Mhm.
reinventing. That's something that Jesse brought up in one of his recent videos. And
Yep.
this culture that you have, we could dive so much into how you built the culture of the staff, but how, like, just the process of never stopping improving the fan experience.
Yeah.
That's a vision from you, Jesse, everyone, right?
Yeah, absolutely. We just continue to remind people that our fan is at the core of what we do. Like, yes, we have a product on the field, and yeah, we sell merchandise, and yeah, we do concessions, and but like, if we don't have the fan in mind, then none of it matters. We're just
Hmm.
doing it for nobody. And so, if we're in a difficult conversation sometimes. There's this, I don't remember where we got this example from, but like, if you put an empty chair, next to your table, and let's say you're having a meeting, and it's like, okay, our fan is sitting in this chair right now listening to our conversation. Would that change the way that we're talking about it? Would that change the way we're thinking about this decision we're about to make? It always has to be on behalf of the fan, and we got to figure out what they're interested in and what they're curious about, and what they're doing outside of Bananas games. Like, are they interested in Taylor Swift? Are they interested in other sports? Like, we noticed that friendship bracelets got so big around the country this year. It's like, okay, what Bananas friendship bracelets look like? On to things on the field that come about. Like, how do we drive that more and give our fans more of those things? And so we're always trying to listen. We're always trying to observe behaviors of what people are doing, but we're trying to read and like find out what other businesses are doing. Sometimes not really even sports teams. Like, we certainly follow what sports teams are doing or entertainment franchises, but like, what is Zappos doing, or what is Southwest Airlines doing, or Chick-fil-A, or was there a failure of a business that we could potentially learn from and make sure we don't do? Or there's all these different worlds out there, and we're trying to learn from them and then just bring them into the Bananas ethos and figure out how do we learn from those things, and again, ultimately deliver a fans first experience to
So
people.
when you have an idea and you roll it out, what was the test to say, hey, was this a good idea? How do we evolve this? Was there a specific checklist? How did you evolve ideas?
Yeah. So it comes down to, did people respond, and how did they respond? So like, um, for example, this past year, we started a fan club. We called it the K Club. K potassium, K strikeout, all the fun puns. We only rolled it out to like 3,000 people, 3,500 people. They bought into it. They paid $49. We promised them some different perks, ticket sales, and different entries to lines, things like that. And we observe who buys it, and did they buy it? Should we keep forcing it? What would happen next year? And so it worked really, 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 really well. People are super happy. People are super positive. This year we rolled it out to like 18,000 people, and we didn't scale it properly, and some things went sideways in how we promised it to people. So we have to take all those learning things and say, wait, if we do this again, we got to make quick changes. We got to totally change the way we package that. We got to change the way that we sell tickets at certain areas. Like, we can't just go full bore and say, okay, we sold 3,000 of these fan club packages, let's go sell 100,000. Like, that would just absolutely ruin us. And so you have to track those behaviors of how did people respond and which way did they respond. We're going through it right now with our cruise. We just launched a cruise about a month ago or 3 weeks ago, and we had all these people join, and now we're trying to figure out, are they buying? Are they responding to it? What are they buying? Do they want to come? Like, did they not want to come? Why do they not want to come? Like, all these different things. We got to test it on a small scale, and then you got to work with your team to start identifying what went right, what didn't go right, how would we adjust that in the future. And so that's what we think about on a very regular basis. It just comes down to how do people respond.
You're talking about also doing cruises. Now you're in major league ballparks. So the
Yep.
scalability, you've done a lot of things in Savannah, then you've scaled out to minor league ballparks. You were in Sacramento, not too far from me this past year. So now you're getting into major league ballparks. Is there scalability issues from a staffing perspective, or does the show change for
Yeah.
you because you're in a bigger ballpark?
Yeah, I think the scalability mostly is the show. We're trying to figure out how do we take a just as an artist would think about it, or a theatrical performance. If I'm performing in front of 5,000 people, that just dramatically is different than performing in front of 40,000. And so, we're thinking about all the technology that goes into those places, and how do we not rely on technology, but how do we allow it to enhance, what people are seeing? How do we bring on more characters and think about first level and second level and third level, and obviously the outfield and the berms and like all those different places. And so, yeah, it's the showmanship scalability so that people, when they come to a Bananas game, feel like, man, that was awesome. I saw so much stuff. I didn't feel like I was removed from it. And that'll be a big challenge for us, but we're excited to like take that on.
So before we get into your new identity that you just recently launched, the Firefighters, data is becoming more and more of a prevalent decision-making process for sports teams, and a lot of it is specific to people buying tickets or not, and
Yep.
average order values, all these different things. How do you all use data when you make decisions?
Yeah, we're thinking a lot about where are people coming from. We're thinking a lot about like, because we had to limit tickets right now. How many tickets are the right number of tickets, and will they come to multiple games? We're really trying to then now square on this K club, this fan club. Like, who is our die hard, 20% of our fans who make up this big percentage of their fandom around the Savannah Bananas, and what else do they want from us? Do they want more experiences? Do they want better tickets? Do they want other events? Do they want exclusive merchandise? Like, what else does this diehard group of people want from us? How do we give that to them? And then how do we continue to play in new markets and go to different parts of the country? And where's the demand going to be at next year? If we have certain amount of demand, for one game, does that automatically mean that we play 2 games or 3 games? And so, yeah, it's that fan behavior and we run a really simple business, right? We run live events, we sell tickets to them, people buy merchandise, we create content. And so we're always testing, like, what are people responding to? How do we either get rid of it if they're not responding to it, or obviously give them more?
Was there ever one that you wanted to personally keep that you brought to the table or something like that? Do you look back, you're like, you know what, I really wanted to keep this one?
I don't know. I'm able to pretty much take my personal stuff away from it for the most part. There are times where I'm like, I really believe in this thing, but we've tried to remind people that the best idea wins. Idea meritocracy. Best idea wins. Doesn't really matter who it comes from. Put that idea on the table.'re going to go at it from a million different ways, and then figure out, is this a great idea or not? But we've never done anything we're gonna bet the farm, or gonna kill our business or anything like that. But yeah, we usually just forget about them pretty quickly.
Yeah, leave them on the cutting room floor for sure.
That's right.
So the Firefighters Identity, you just recently launched it. Jesse made a post today on LinkedIn. Super excited about that. My brother's a firefighter, so I'm really excited about this one to learn a little bit more of what's kind of behind the scenes. How did you choose firefighters? Talk a little bit about kind of the direction you're going.
Yeah, so we're trying to build this pipeline of more banana ball superstars. Who's the next guy or girl who's going to play with us. And so the Firefighters were a way to build a third team and third identity. And we've got a lot of talented people who want to join this thing. And we know that, and this was a comment that was made a couple years ago, like, the people don't want to see the bananas and the party animals 87 times. Like, that's a lot. And so, we tested we tested some challengers this year. We tested some other opponents and things like that, just to mix it up a little bit. And then we started realizing, like, let's just be in control of the next brand. And so we put a bunch of stuff out there and thought about a bunch of different identities, and Firefighters was that like, all American brand, family friendly, kid friendly. It was actually, we joked about it the other day, like when we announced, you normally announce team names and everyone's like, that's the dumbest thing on earth. Like we felt that with the Bananas. Like no one can say anything negative about Firefighters. Like you can't go on social media and say that's the dumbest name on earth. Like you just can't.
Nope.
And so we're going to start it small. They're going to play, a handful of games starting this summer. They're going to play at one of the big league stadiums in DC, which would be really fun. They'll start with a small media presence. They'll start with a small merchandise presence. And we'll see the response. Again, we test the response. What do fans respond to? What do they want more of? And then I think you'll see as we get into the summer, we'll roll out some more ideas. And then probably in 2025, you'll see them as a bona fide, banana ball brand. They'll have full social media presence. They'll have full merchandise selection. They'll have, players who are authentic to them. And then, hopefully we can try that again. Like maybe there's another team. Maybe there's, more teams coming after that if this works out really well.
That sounds fantastic. As my brothers are firefighters, I think you can count on support all across the country from folks. So this is awesome, super exciting. Last question before we start to wrap up here. Did you ever think it would get this big?
That's the question I get so often. And, I'm sitting here at the stadium and remembering when we first came over here and I came to a game and I looked around this place and I thought, we'll never sell all these tickets. This is the biggest stadium on earth. How could we possibly do this? This is so scary. And certainly less scary now. But I do that every single time. I'm like, there's no way, no possible way. We just did a site visit, to Nationals Park. And I'm like, 40,000 people, 40,000 Bananas fans are going to come to this game. Like, how? Now, I have a little bit more confidence in ourselves now. But still, it's like, how? How are this many people interested in this thing? And so you just have to pinch yourself a little bit and you realize it takes a lot of people to pull this off. It takes a lot of ideas. It takes a lot of bad ideas too. It takes a lot of misses. But it takes a lot of people to come around an idea and be like, you know what, this is what we're going to do. And so, 8 years in the making, overnight success, right? And hopefully many more years to come. And I think we're going to look back at 2024 and probably be like, man, how small was it in 2024?
Yeah, that's the fun stuff for sure. One of the biggest lessons that I take away is something that I've heard multiple times by a gentleman, one of the original marketing directors of Chick-fil-A, a guy named David Sawyers. And I'm not sure if you've heard him before or not, but he said, how you view things drives how you do things. So if you think your idea, if you think your job is to do X, those are the ideas you're going to go after, right? And it's such a great thing that you guys have been consistent over the years of like, our ideas are making the fan. It's all about the fan and less about selling tickets and making money. Right. In their case, it's McDonald's is 10 cents more to supersize, all those different things. So so I don't know if you're connected to David or read his book, but he is, this is right in line with what you guys are talking about.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Yeah. So, Jared, appreciate you being on. Love the story. Love that we were listening to the same podcast way back when, trying to do the same exact thing in sports, and just continues to grow. But best of luck. We'll be rooting for you all across the country.
All right. Have a good one. See you.
Thank you. Take care.